Enchanted Tiki Talk is brought to you by Kingdom Strollers. Our premium stroller and crib rentals are delivered straight to your Disney or Orlando area resort. It couldn't be easier. Book yours at kingdomstrollers.com. And Mouse Pros. Let our travel specialist plan your next vacation. Our concierge level service gives you the perfect hassle-free vacation. Get your free quote from Sean or any of our magical agents at mousepros.com. And now, it's show time!
Your attention, please. One show for you to see. One for you and everyone.
Oh, look at all the people. Pay attention, it's showtime.
I am always ready, as you say, to put on the show.
My goodness, you're all staring at us. We better start the show rolling.
Wait. We forgot to wake up the Glee Club.
Aloha. Come to the Tiki Room. Get your expialidocious tickets right here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the new and unimproved Enchanted Tiki Talk. No, it's not really new. It's definitely not unimproved, but hey, we're back. It's been a while, but we're here.
It's been a while. We had to get the cobwebs out of the hut and stuff and dust a little bit, but it's nice to be back and with some actual news and some park openings and stuff to actually talk about. So
yeah,
I'm excited to be back. And
the funny thing is that we have a new person in the hut this week, and I want to introduce you to the new host. That's Matt Holly. I don't know if you've ever heard him before. Matt, say hi.
Thank God it's not Mustardo.
Mustardo.
Oh, you had to bring it up, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Keith, I am Mustardo. How are you doing? Go away, Mustardo. Go away. So we got Matt. Steve's here this week from Disney Diary. Hello, Steve.
Hey, guys. Nice to be back. Oh, excuse me. Go cobwebs. Nice to be back again.
That was a hairball.
You know, the last time we recorded, Disney World wasn't open. Disneyland wasn't open, but now Disney World is open and Disneyland is still closed. So,
ha ha! Everybody point and laugh, children.
So we only missed half the parks. But yeah, it's. I mean, we're going to talk. Steve's on here because he's been to Disney World a few times since the parks opened. But you know, it's good to be back and talking some Disney. It's kind of strange, though. I mean, because I don't know going forward some of the topics that we have talked about in the past. We have to kind of change it because there's no park hopping anymore. There's no character beats really. Dining has been reduced, so you know. Doing $40 a day, I don't think it would be very much fun right now.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
With the new prices, I don't think you could do $40 a day.
How much is a bottle of water now?
It's still what, $3.50?
It is, okay.
Yeah, $2.50, $3.50. It's still. I mean, that's gone up maybe a little, but I mean, it seems that all of the meals have gone up by a few bucks.
Right.
$40 a meal. You can't do that.
But I know that they did do. I know Chef Mickey's is now family style and at a reduced price. At least it's a reduced price with family style because you're not paying $45 anymore.
Is it $40 now?
It was. I think it was like $42 or $45, something like that. Yeah. Actually, it might have been more. To tell you the truth. But a lot of the stuff of the buffet restaurants are family style now, and that it's for me it's just something I'm not really interested in doing, just because. I mean, Steve, you've been to New Jersey, and I'd much rather go to any diner, which is going to be better than family style meals really in Disney.
Yeah, I mean they're not bad. I guess it depends upon what you're looking for, what type of food. But at least they're trying to do something, understandably, that since the buffet cannot be done,
right.
And they're slowly ramping up and changing some things and evolving how they go. So hopefully as things progress, we'll get back to some sort of semblance of what life was before, BC.
Exactly.
Can you still get like as much as you want, but it's just brought to you?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, well then, like in my mind, that is better than like standing in line and stuff, picking food out and stuff like that. I mean, I would.
Yeah, but you're only limited to like
family service over.
You get like 6 items.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like if you go to a place like Boma, you're going to really be handcuffed because it's not going to be. You can go there and be like, "Ooh, I want to try some of this, and I'll try some of this, and I'll try some of this." It'll be like, "Do you want this one or this one?" So, yes, where you're going with it, you're not having to walk behind somebody and pick up food that they've already picked over. I can see that, but it's going to limit you as far as your options as what food you can and can't have.
Can't you switch though? Like at each round, like can't you choose something different?
They've cut back on the amount. They've cut back on the menu, the size of the menus.
Oh, okay.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
so,
I would say I couldn't imagine if Boma did a buffet or did a family style and still had everything available. I mean, that would be a ton of food they'd have to have prepared and ready to go.
Now, is Casey still closed?
Yeah, it was as of last week. Yes.
Wow.
But that I think they're doing for physical distancing more than anything else.
Right.
Trying to create a safe flow past that place if it would be packed would be difficult.
Is the ice cream parlor open?
No.
Okay.
Not occasionally, yes, but no, not when I was there recently.
Okay.
It was closed.
Just curious.
There's a lot, and the other thing is if you're a shopper, there's a lot of it's very different. Not all the shops are open, and there are flows, there are entrances and exits. So in the past, if you just wanted to walk in and just browse a little and go out, you have to go in through the entrance, out through the exit. They count everyone who goes in and count everyone who goes out. So it's not as a free flow as it was before. I almost feel guilty at times that you're walking in because there are people who really want to buy something and you're taking up their space.
Gotcha.
That's all a bunch of the eBay people anyway, so don't feel sorry, Steve.
So while we're at it, why don't we talk about some of the news? And one of the things that we talked before we started recording was the new queue for Rise of the Resistance. It's a big improvement, and in that previously I had a problem with it where I got to the park before the park opened to get in line so I can. It doesn't matter once you're in the park. And the park opens up, you have the chance to enter the virtual queue. But the problem before was that if you had multiple people in your party, you would have to go in and select all those people and add them to your party. Now, they're there automatically for you. So that's great. It makes it a lot easier with the virtual queue.
Yeah, I mean, if they're, as long as they're on your list, whoever badges in is checked off on that list. So it takes away a lot of time, a lot of precious time to get your party together, and also stops the idea of having to try to later consolidate parties. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm hoping that if that works out well, if they ever want to use the virtual queue for other rides, that would be the way to do it.
I hope and pray that in January that ride actually works right, because I finally booked another trip down there, and just one of the main reasons in going was to ride that ride. I'm really hoping to Disney gods or whoever's in charge of that to please just on like 4 days just have it running smoothly so I can leave happy.
I don't need 4 days. I just need the 1 day that I'm there for it to work right.
Well, I'm not picky. I just, 4 days that week.
I'm only got 1 day in the park, so that's the day I want it to work.
I did, I booked us a second studio's, a buffer date. So, just in case, I do have a second chance before our flight leaves. So, hopefully. Anyhow, I'm sorry.
No,
I side railed that.
I hate to say it. I think there might be a vaccine in place before they ever get that ride working 100% already. Hate to be a downer, but
Man, Steve, just
I know.
dream crusher over there.
The problem is I love the ride so much that you get infuriated that it's not working properly, and they don't seem to be able to fix it or figure out ways to make it more consistently operational.
They were closed for 3 months. They couldn't figure it out then. Jeez.
Everybody was furloughed who was working on it.
Yeah. Yep. Steve, what other news we have?
Let's see. Well, they're also changing to help you out at restaurants. We were talking earlier, where you'll be able to. They're starting off with 4 resort restaurants, where you can check up to see if there's walk-up availability. This way, if it's last minute, you don't have to, and you don't have a specific time. It'll let you know if there's a 5-minute wait, a 10-minute wait, or whatever. So they're starting this off with 4 restaurants, resort restaurants now. And if this works out well, which we all hope it does, then maybe they can ramp it up and expand it to other restaurants.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a nice idea because, I mean, if like your plans change or heaven forbid you want to be like spontaneous at Disney World, at least that going into it. So that's a nice idea.
Right.
Spontaneous in Disney. We think it's like the 80s or maybe like the early 90s, Keith?
Well, it's still possible in small ways. I mean, you can't just go and show up with your pass anymore and say, hey, it's like I want to, before park in one day thing is gone. So
you also have the Yacht Club, which will be reopening the 24th. The Ale and Compass Restaurant and Lounge will open up a little earlier on the 20th, which is nice because there'll be another restaurant for people to use, and they'll be expanding that. And really, at the end of the year, there's about 4 more hotels planned to reopen. There's still the Grand Floridian, there's still Polynesian Village, Coronado Springs, and Art of Animation, which are scheduled from between September and November to reopen.
Right.
So the rollout is still coming. And the restaurants are important because if finding a dinner could be really difficult now if you're visiting. And that's the one thing I would let people know. If you're going to go, make sure you have a dinner plan.
Well, and I'm sure that Springs is pretty busy, so that's, if you're not going to eat in a park and the resorts aren't available, the Springs is kind of your only option, isn't it?
It is, and that's, at this point, as I tell everyone from what I've seen, and I go to the Springs a lot, at night, it gets a lot more crowded and a lot more people, and people tend to get a lot more relaxed of their mask wearing and their social distancing, and they get a lot louder. So, especially on Friday nights and Saturday nights, I tell people, my suggestion is, unless you really want to be there, I would stay away from the Springs.
Yeah.
And that's, there's always takeout. And I hate to say it, there's takeout. Sanaa at Animal Kingdom Lodge has now allows you to go down and order for takeout dinner. Some of the other restaurants hopefully will start doing that as well. There's no room delivery, which there should. I would think that would be the thing they're really pushing for, because that's where they can make a lot of money, but they're not doing that.
So I'm surprised Disney hasn't rolled out their version of Grubhub or something.
Right.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that too.
With the minivans, they could just
yeah, exactly. They can double.
Add those onto it too. Yeah.
So, any other big news, Steve?
Nothing big. I mean, Mulan, comes to Disney Plus, so they're going to be doing a sneak preview in the parks. They're going back to, it almost seems like regular life, where the preview's coming to Hollywood Studios.
Oh, you're charging you $10 for the sneak peek? I'm sorry, I had to. I couldn't help it.
Other than that, just there's lots of little shopping, new things popping up all the time, but nothing huge.
Oh, you forgot the biggest part. Stitch got the Rona and they kicked him out of the park.
That poor guy. He just always gets blamed for everything.
All right, Steve. So let's talk a little bit about some of your experiences in the parks. Let's just talk about the big one. It's going to be the masks in the heat. I know we've talked about it with you going in the springs the last time you were on, but now you are in the parks, walking around the parks, wearing a mask. And what is that experience like for you personally?
It's hot. It's hot and it's sweaty. And when there's full sun on you, when there's full sun beating down on you, and the temperature feels like 107, it's brutal. But the heat's brutal no matter what. I didn't find it. I found after a little while, it's not that big of a deal. And the thing that you realize is that you're not spending 12 hours at the park with a mask on anymore, because it's not open that long, but also because you do get to a point where you feel done, I think, after about 6 hours. So it wasn't that bad from what I've seen. I've been really impressed by the kids. I've been really impressed by 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds who put it on when they realize it's falling off by themselves. They put it back on, or when they're leaving a restaurant, mommy, don't forget my mask, type of thing.
Right.
They seem to be a lot easier to deal with than some of the adults I've been watching.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, because kids can adapt to things a lot easier than adults can.
But it is hot. The biggest issue you have is hydration. And one of the rules is you have to stop and be distanced to drink. So if you're going to pull your mask off to take a sip of something or drink something, you can't do it while you're walking. You have to stop. And I understand the reason behind that is because lots of people would just put a drink in their hand and take their mask off.
Right.
But the problem with that is that you will forget to drink. You won't be taking that bottle of water with you and then just stopping every minute or two to drink. So you've got to focus on staying hydrated.
Is there like certain spots that you can like take your masks off? Like I've seen other parks do, like if it's like an amphitheater spot, that you can kind of go and sit down and in distance, of course, but you can still like take your mask off and breathe for a few minutes.
Yes, they've got what they're calling relaxation stations throughout the parks. So there's places where you can go. One is near the past the. Let's see. There's one in Animal Kingdom across from the Up Theater, from where they have the landing there. There's one behind the Big Top in Storybook Circus. There's one, next to near Pirates of the Caribbean. So all of them, they're all, it says relaxation station. They put you in. They say you can go to a certain area and then you can take your mask off. But if you want to drink or eat, you can do that with everyone else and take your mask off. Like we walked back to Frontierland, sat on the porches there without anyone near us, took our masks off and ate. And when we were done eating and drinking, we put it back on. And that's fine as well.
What about trash can tops? Are those considered tables?
I wouldn't use them because the way it works now is those trash can lids are open. The sides are open, so you don't have to push them in. You don't have to use your hands to push them in. So you may want to stay away from them.
Prime outdoor seating for my dinners.
You sat on the garbage cans?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm not like like highbrow like you, Sean.
Yes.
I don't mind.
Oh, all right. Well, okay. More power to you.
Steve, when you go in the relaxation station, I don't know why it's weird for me to say, but when you go in, is there are you timed? Do you have a certain time limit you can stay in there, or is it just kind of?
Nobody's ever said nobody's ever given me a time limit.
Okay.
I think most people hang out for about 15-20 minutes maybe to catch up, to recharge, and I mean, a lot of them are outside, so you're not really going to beat the heat. There may be some shade, but you're not going to beat the heat a lot.
Gotcha. I didn't know if they were having problems with people trying to get in and they can't get in because people won't leave and stuff like that.
I've seen lines for many things. Those are not places I've seen lines for.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what is the park's been like overall with guests? And I know everybody says there's Magic Kingdom might only have 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 in the park. So does it really feel like that when you're walking around? Very few people.
If you want to ride a ride, this is the time to go. If you are a ride fanatic, if all you care about is rides, this is the time to go. This, you're talking before, what is this, the 1980s? It kind of reminds me of the 1980s where you were just walking. And it obviously depends on the time of day. I found the last 3-4 hours of the days, there are not a lot of people around because most people get tired because of the heat, and they take off. You can get there early in the morning and knock out a bunch of rides before, in an hour. Some rides obviously will always be long. Space Mountain usually in the afternoon. Or later in the morning, but the mine train's always going to be busy. Splash Mountain's going to be busy. Big Thunder's going to be busy. But there are times, like the old days of Buzz Lightyear. You can walk on, ride it, walk off, walk right back on and ride it, walk off, walk right back on and ride it.
That sounds like heaven.
I
mean,
if you're a Buzz Lightyear fan, yes, it is. Believe me.
Well, yeah, but
I enjoy it.
In general, I mean, it sounds nice. But
and the other thing, I mean, it obviously goes with if there's a ride that's closed, if there's having technical difficulties. I've seen Flight of Passage at as little as 10 minutes.
Wow.
As high as 50, and again, it depends on what else is going on in the park and time of day, and how flexible do you want to be. But you can ride the big ticket rides. And
now, just what would be like your strategy, especially now since the parks are only open until like 7 o'clock at night? Would that change your strategy of how that you would go?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking, I mean, parks are opening up at 9, 10, 11 in Epcot's case. It depends upon what your goal is for the day, and it depends upon how you want to manage dealing with other people in the park. Because even though you're on vacation, you still need, I still preach physical distancing, being aware of your surroundings. The thing that if you're driving in, they're going to meter you at the toll plaza before you even go in. So there may be a longer line at the toll plaza really early in the morning, and you may say why, and the reason is they're slowing you down. They're not just pushing people through. And it's every other row when you park. Every other space when you park for the first time. So the first people to come in will be every other, and then they'll go back to other rows, and then they'll come in and then they'll fill in those spots. Again, for physical distancing purposes, so everybody's not bunched together. Depends upon people's strategy. A lot of people's strategy is to go to mine. If you're talking about Magic Kingdoms, to go to mine train first and then everything else, or is to go left to right. In the mornings, I like to go right to left because that's when I can get on Space Mountain real fast.
Yeah.
Figure out a lunch. Figure out your meal strategy. I would say is probably the biggest thing that's going to have the biggest impact of your life because there's not a lot of options. The options have gone down. So figure out what you want to eat, about what time you want to eat, and then go from there. You can still, if you're at a resort, you can still leave at, if you're at the Magic Kingdom, you can still leave at 12:30, 1 or 2, and then come back at 4 or 5 for the last couple of hours. You can still come back into that same park. Same thing with the others. But I've found that, like Epcot, there's just not a lot to do.
Yeah.
Epcot's not going to be a full day. Epcot, it could be a full day if all you're going to do is eat, but it's not necessarily going to be a full day.
So this really shows you the problems with Epcot. So
it shows you the problems with Epcot. It also shows you how Hollywood Studios is going to be your busiest. It will always be your busiest because people are going to come in to try to get to Rise of the Resistance.
Right.
And if they're in a queue, if they're in a virtual queue and they're waiting, the first thing they're going to do is go to Runaway Railway.
Right.
And that line is going to end up being forever until about 3 p.m, and then it'll be a lot more manageable.
Gotcha. Now, studios, I mean, I always see that the lines there tend to be, and you can see if you look YouTube videos, you can see that park always looks like it's busier. There's a lot more people going on. Looks like there's a little harder time social distancing there, just because of how tight everything is.
No, I mean, there's really, walking around. Toy Story Land has choke points. It's very narrow, so you're always going to have people around you. But there are times I've walked, like Magic Kingdom, even in Hollywood Studios. Walking down to Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror. I felt like there's hardly anybody there as I walk down that street. There may be people in line, but the walkway is pretty clear. The same thing for a good portion of some other parts of the parks. Animal Kingdom, if you love walking those paths around the Tree of Life or other places, I've gone 10 minutes without seeing another person.
Wow.
So and then I've gone 10 minutes where everyone is just on top of each other. So the ebb and flow go. I felt safer at Disney World than I have at a lot of stores that I've gone to.
Really?
Yeah. I felt people are more aware. People are following more rules of masks and social distancing. You're always going to find a couple of people who are just, you don't want to say jerks, who just forget. Because you're on vacation. You don't want to have to follow another rule while you're on vacation.
Right.
Amen.
But you have to. You have to, and if you don't, the yellow shirts will get you.
Oh no, not the yellow shirts.
Yellow shirts. God bless those cast members. I tell you. God bless all the cast members. I know someone in security who said that it must have been a month after everything started. He said, I'm just so tired of telling people to put the mask over their nose.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
But they're doing it, and they continue to do it, and bless them for going out there, and they're doing it with very nice intentions. They're not being mean or anything.
Right.
Just reminding
you.
They
don't taser you like after 3 warnings. No.
Some people should probably be tasered.
That'd be awesome. like they can track your warnings with like your magic band, and after 3 it just like electrocutes you.
but the traffic patterns, the ebb and flow. sometimes it'll feel crowded, but it will never feel like the old days of it'll never feel like it would in what people would consider a December, where you're just you can't breathe because the people are just next to you. You're not going to experience that.
Gotcha.
And they smell bad.
Mask on, you won't be smelling a lot of people, hopefully.
True. Yes.
The cool thing, in addition to the rides, I think, are the character cavalcades. Now, you don't have character meet and greets, you don't have parades, but every 20 minutes or so at the Magic Kingdom, they take out a float and it goes down the parade route. So you'll get princesses in one, you'll get Minnie Mickey in another, you'll get villains in another, you'll get Fantasyland friends in a different one, and like as I said before, what we did is we got some Dole Whip. We went to Frontierland, sat on the street, ate our Dole Whip, and we were able to catch like 2 of the cavalcades go by at different times.
Oh, cool!
It's really cool because the characters will see you. There's not a lot of people there, so they actually see you. And if you're wearing something, they'll point to you. And one young woman, one kid I was with had something with Tiana on her, and Tiana pointed at her and smiled, and they waved and said, "Oh, that looks good." So it feels like you're getting a better interaction.
Gotcha.
If you streak down the street, they really point at you.
As long as you have your mask on.
Yeah. That guy's following the rules. Thumbs up.
So, Steve, would you say... I know we were talking about how if you're a ride person, this is the time to go. Let's talk about a first time... Somebody who's never been to Disney World. Is this a trip that they should still be planning to go as a first-timer?
If this is the first time and the only time you're ever going to go, or the only time in the next 5 years you may ever go, I would say hold off. I would say wait until more things come back. There's a lot of magic that's involved without the rides that you're going to miss, or that we'll miss because we know it. If you've never been there, will you miss it? I don't know. It's always a good question. I've gone to the park with people who've never been there before, and their expectations were met because they went on rides, they saw some characters, but they also saw fireworks.
Right.
And there's no fireworks, there's no nighttime shows, there's no real shows anywhere, there's no entertainment. So that's one reason why you can get through the parks a bit quicker. There's nothing else going on. I mean, all the people from the workers from the Lion King are out in blue shirts in Animal Kingdom. If you see a lot of blue shirts in Animal Kingdom, it's probably people who work for the Lion King show. They're being used in that regard because they can't have a show. So I would suggest, if it's a first time, no. If it's a place, if you want to go because you haven't been for a while, if you're comfortable, if you're obviously all the caveats, if you're comfortable getting transportation there, if you're comfortable getting on property there,
right.
If you're comfortable with people, yeah. I mean, those are always going to be your first questions.
Now, you touched on real quick about no nighttime shows, no fireworks or anything, but you also had said that, you've been in the parks wearing the mask and it's hot, so you're kind of tired. And so when the parks close, do you feel like it's a letdown because they're not open later and you don't have the nighttime stuff, or is it kind of like, okay, I've done enough, I'm ready to go, it's a good thing they're closing early?
No, I think the nighttime is a problem, and I think if you're going to Disney World and you're staying on property, you need to have a nighttime plan. And
Gotcha.
I don't think Disney Springs is going to be it all the time. You need to take puzzles with you, take something else with you that will keep you, is a good diversion at night after dinner, because there's not a whole heck of a lot really to do. I stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge recently, which I thought was perfect because you get to see the animals.
Mm-hmm.
So if you needed to, it was the animals that kept you, amused after either before going to the park or when you came back from the park. But I think if you're going to stay on property, you need to figure out like a diversion.
Right.
Come up with a theme for the night. Come up with a puzzle. Come up with something else to keep the magic going.
That's my
a scavenger hunt. Who can find an alligator the quickest?
That's something that's just holding us back from doing a trip, and we've talked about it. It's just I just can't see myself being back in a hotel room at 8 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. I just don't know what to do, because I'm not used to that.
And that's why I think also if you're going, you're gonna have to choose your hotel. Be a lot more cognizant of that. Also cognizant of like how do you want to get around. Again, it goes back to people's comfort levels with COVID and with other people. Do you want to get on a bus? Do you instead want to rent a car?
Right.
To get around to places. To me, the car rental was good because you bypass all the buses and transportation with the exception of Magic Kingdom, which is either the monorail or the boat, and the boat's outside. So I always tend to go to the boat. It also gives you the opportunity to get more food off property if you wanted. So you can get pickup from Texas Longhorn, which actually is really good pickup, or from Kobe Steak, which is really good pickup. So I'm not getting paid by any of these. This is not. I'm not name dropping to get paid, but those are places off. If you're at Animal Kingdom Lodge, off of 192, there are other places that easily you can get pick up food and bring it back to your room.
Now, as far as like transportation, have you experienced the buses or the Skyliner and things like that?
Boat. I've not taken the Skyliner. I've not taken the monorail. I know people who have done it, and they've live streamed it for me. The monorail will have they have plastic dividers up. They allow one family into an area, or if it's one person, you'll have one or two people sitting on one side, and then one or two people sitting way across on the other, and you're basically told not to move or asked not to move. Skyliner is one family per cabin, so you're not going to double up with anyone else. The boats have designated areas to stand, but it didn't seem to be any issue. Plastic dividers are used in a lot of places. They're used on ride lines for queues. So you will, Big Thunder Mountain, you've got the two lines right next to each other, and on that wooden divider they put plastic shields, so they will divide you. And that's that's the one way that one thing they've used for in close quarters to help create social distancing is putting up plastic dividers. Kilimanjaro Safari, they've got plastic in between the seats, right in front of you and right behind you. So you have a family in front of you, you have a family behind you, but you have a plastic divider that stretches the entire row. So they've done that, and the public transportation, they limit the amount of people on the buses. On the buses, they create areas for seating, again with some plastic dividers, and they limit the amount of people on the buses.
That's smart. It's just the buses that concern me with wait times, but
yeah, I can't really address that, and that's one of the reasons at this point, because there's not a ton of people going. I'm always suggesting to people, if take a car,
Yeah.
gives you the flex. It gives you the flexibility now. Maybe a little more expensive, but it gives you a lot more options.
All right, Steve, man, I want to thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. You're the go-to guy. We appreciate it. You always have great information for us, and I know the listeners appreciate it. My mouth was getting dry there.
Thank you.
Dry oatmeal.
Always fun to visit.
Not to stay, I know.
All right, so that's going to do it for this week. But first, we want to thank our sponsors, Kingdom Strollers. Get your premium stroller and crib rental at kingdomstrollers.com. Let the vacation experts at mousepros.com help plan your next perfect Disney vacation. Don't forget to check out your store. It's our store at redbubble.com/Tiki Talk Podcast. You can connect with us on social media. Find us on Facebook at Enchanted Tiki Talk. Instagram and Twitter is Tiki Talk Podcast. You can also leave us a message on the Tiki hotline, which is 256-4MY-TIKI, 256-469-8454. And if you enjoy the show, please take the time to rate us on iTunes.
You can find me on Twitter. I changed my name so I don't know it. I can also find me at milespros.com.
Like a scavenger hunt to find
I don't know what it is. I know I changed it. Oh, well.
You can find me on Instagram at Fitmouse Apparel.
I'm on Instagram at mholly579 and Matt Goes Dopey on Twitter.
You can find me at Disney Diary on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
So thanks again to Steve for coming on this week and bringing us the news and discussing the parks and everything. Make sure you go check out Disney Diary for all your Disney news. And with that being said, Alan, you can take it away.
Thanks for listening this week. For Sean and Keith, I'm Alan, and this has been Enchanted Tiki Talk. Aloha.
Enchanted Tiki Talk has been brought to you by mousepros.com. Let us plan your perfect Disney vacation. And by kingdomstrollers.com for all your premium stroller and crib rental needs. For all of us here, I'm David Benter. Thanks for listening to Enchanted Tiki Talk.